Howdy hackers, and welcome to another episode of FairLight TV. My apologies for the rather inconsistent number of releases over the last few weeks. We didn't really have any buffer, and filling every week then became a challenge, especially since I was traveling. So I was out of the country for basically 3 weekends. So yeah, my apologies for that. I can't promise you any more consistency over the last or over the next few weeks, but hopefully by the beginning of next year we will be able to release on the clock every Friday. Okay, so this time I was going to, or I at least have the ambition of diving into the analog world of books. Everything else has been very digital, and so the books, they would be the ones, not sort of the fact books or the reference books, but books sort of around the scene community and Commodore as a company. So this would only be applicable to the sort of Commodore parts of what we've been doing. So anything related to anything else is sort of out of scope, including the PC scene. I will have something little for you. I will not show you anything more than this. Yeah. There will be an unboxing at the end, so I will keep you waiting, keep you hanging on. What is it I'm going to unbox in the end? I can tell you already it's a book, it's a new book, but which one you will see only if you watch the full episode. So stay tuned till the end and see me describe the books. And as it is with books, some of them would have rather reflective front page, which means that when I'm holding them up, they might reflect. I will try to ensure that you can still read it. It practically doesn't really work if I'm going to kind of open them and show them. So I will be holding them, and you can see the first or the cover of them, and from there you would need to find the book yourself and read the actual content. But I will try to kind of describe the angle of every particular book I'm going to show you, and then you will have the enjoyment of actually reading them. So let's go over to the books. Okay, the first one is this. Generation 64, and I guess you also noticed the fact that one part of the book cover was sort of transparent. The green screen effect caught the green color on the front page of this one, and you can see through to the background. So you can see the FairLight demos, screenshots from a number of FairLight demos in the background. Yes, yeah, that was unintentional, but it can't really be avoided as long as I have a green screen. So the book Generation 64, Jimmy Wilhelmsson and Kenneth Grönvall produced that one. There was a Kickstarter way back when. I'm really not good with the years, but Jimmy is a guy from Malmö who has been sort of, yeah, in our proximity, you can say like that. Ogami, the FairLight graphician, he was a classmate of Jimmy, and so Jimmy had a 64. He eventually bought an Amiga 500, so he was very close to sort of our circles in Malmö, but he was never a scener, but he had good visibility over what happened, and given the fact that he has a way with words and a way with kind of yeah, and a wish to publish something, I guess, because he eventually turned out to be a publisher. So he's having his own publication company together with Orvar Sävström, I think. Yeah. Yeah, enough of that. So Generation 64 is a book interviewing a number of people, Swedes, almost all of them. Sodan is there, and he's Danish, so not all Swedes, but predominantly Swedes. And it's actually also in Swedish, which we will get back to. It's a really thick, big book. I mean, you can imagine the size of my head, and you can see that I can very well hide behind this, so it's big. It's a coffee table book. Let's see if I can kind of open a few pages. Yes. So Jimmy ran a Kickstarter. It was, I would say, very successful, and all those who participated in the Kickstarter got their book, and then he produced a big batch and sold them via, I mean, normal bookstores. So it was sold in basically any bookstore in Sweden. They had one or a few copies, and it has sold out. So if you want to buy it now, you cannot, unless like first hand. You would need to find a second-hand copy on any of the places where you can buy second-hand books. You had a number of thresholds, as you normally have with Kickstarter campaigns. So we got stickers and postcards with kind of the C64 colory flashing border kind of pattern on them, and it's I must say it's a great book, and it's not only because I have 4 pages in it, it's also because I think it's a very readable and very visually compelling book describing the early days, not really the early days, but sort of the second phase of the second wave of the Commodore 64 scene. What you can say is that basically nobody really covers the area between, or the time between, let's say 81, 82, when the machine is launched, and like 86, 87, where you would see a rather big surge in the sales for Commodore 64 and the number of users and sceners and all of that. It seems like the first people, the first like 4 years, so those were the early adopters. They used the computer and then went on to the Amiga or to the PC or wherever. They weren't particularly interested in this platform and wanting to stay on this platform. They were into digging into the cutting edge, and then they moved. When the cutting edge was somewhere else, they moved on to that, and some of us just stayed on and kept what we know how to do, mess around with the Commodore 64. So Generation 64, a super great book that I would say every Swede should have in their collection if they could claim that they have a collection of C64 books. The next thing that happened was that Sam Dyer, I think, sorry, this is me trying to kind of speak and be picked up by the microphone. So Generation 64, same effect, same green screen effect. Did a translation of it. It is slightly different. I mean, 95% is the same, but parts removed would be an interview with Henrik Schyffert. Henrik Schyffert makes a lot of sense for Swedes. I guess there was sort of an ambition to have sort of famous Swedes and famous outside of the C64 scene, like people that every Swede would have heard of, even if the connection to the C64 was rather loose. There was no need for if you have an English translated version, nobody in outside of Sweden would have heard of Henrik Schyffert, so there was no marketing aspect or marketing benefit of mentioning him. So that one was taken out, and I'm not going to list all the differences because I wouldn't know. I would need to sit and compare them, but so if you are not Swedish speaking, this is the book you are looking for. You want Generation 64, the English version, released by Bitmapbooks. And I have no idea if you can still buy this firsthand. I'm sure you can contact Sam Dyer at Bitmapbooks and ask him. And if he doesn't have any kind of new copies, and then I'm sure he could kind of send you to somewhere where they would send secondhand books. This was also one where you would get the stickers, and this, I guess this is something you could have in your book to know where you are, like a placeholder, where you are in the book. This book is slightly smaller. I could compare them like that. So if I hold the edges like that, you would see that this one is more, well, convenient. The general footprint is slightly less. Again, very readable books. You really should have them. It is about a number of people related to the Commodore 64, telling the story of how they started on the C64 and when their basically professional career based on knowledge and experience and contacts they gained while having this computer. I think that pitch is rather interesting because it's the C64, it's not sort of covering the C64 from a technical perspective or anything else. It covers the C64 as sort of a starting point for what they've moved out to do in their professional lives or personal lives afterwards, where the C64 was instrumental for that change. Okay, that was that. So you got a cover for the Bitmapbooks one, so the English one. So cleaning up the desk here. The next thing would be the box here, and in the box is another book. It's Generation 500. So this is the kind of next book, also from Jimmy and Kenneth. This has sort of the same storyline. A number of people being interviewed when they started with the Amiga and when they moved on to do professional things, where the Amiga was instrumental in them being able to take kind of leapfrog into their professional career. I mean, if you are rooted towards Amiga, this is the book to have. As far as I know, and I haven't done any deep diving into this, there is no English version of this, and I couldn't really tell why there isn't, but yeah, the book is now a number of years old, so I mean it should be possible to translate it and have an English version. And please let me know if there is actually an English version of it. I don't think there is, but let me know if there is, and my apologies if there is. Which I think it's also a pity if there isn't an English one, because a number of people would be interested in the Amiga book, and not everybody speaks Swedish, I've heard. So that is Generation 64 and Generation 500. Using the home computer as a mean to leapfrog into interesting professional careers. Let's move on to the next book. Okay, so Bitmapbooks, they did the translation of the C64, Generation 64. But Bitmapbooks has done another set of books that are also related to the Commodore platform. I would like to show you this one. Yeah, it's not easy to stay within the picture, but hopefully you can see this one. I'm just checking so that you... yes, that would be it, and not too much of the reflections either. So this one is Commodore 64, a visual compendium. I guess the summary of what this is it takes a number of C64 games, and you would have a screenshot and a little bit of text. So Cybernoid, the Pawn, this is just random, I'm not picking up anything in particular. Green Beret, that's not actually from the game. This needs to be posters, I guess. Yeah, well, what should I show you? Ah, everybody knows Winter Games, the jumping event in there. Yeah, Cauldron. Yeah, and all the green effect is fully transparent. Yeah, my whole yeah, that's you can't do anything about that. That's sort of the drawback with green screen. I can't really try to pick only pictures where there is no green on them. Yes, and I should of course show you porn. There is a bit of skin. So this is Strip Poker, a sizzling game of chance. I don't think I have that one, so I wouldn't know. Ghostbusters. So this is sort of one of those flappy books. It's not with hardcovers. Very compelling, a nice little thing. It's not that much to read on every page. It's more like a little what can I say? A little piece of text. Sometimes there is a reference to what kind of game it is, and I mean, if I take here Law of the West, there is a little description here of what kind of game it is, and then you would have here, if you can see that, where there is a little bit of text describing the game. Yeah, this was a nice little book, and which you can sort of sit and browse through, and not that much to read. It's more browsing and looking than actually reading. And then, and this is Sam Dyer doing this. And then suddenly we have this one. Looks quite similar, doesn't it? Yes, but it's so much thicker. This is the first one I showed you. This is the second one. It seems like he did Commodore 64, a visual compendium, like an extended version of it. And there are posters here, and also sort of a bookmark here. So I mean, it's the same. It's just more of it. Again, I haven't checked if you can buy this new still, but because this came out a number of years ago, so yeah. Very, very impressive and really heavy. And this one is also hardback, so it looks really good in your drawers, but it also looks really good on your coffee table if you have one of those. But you don't want to spill coffee on it, because it's way too nice to be spilled coffee on. So that was Commodore 64, a visual compendium. Now over to the next book. Okay, moving into the heavier stuff. Commodore, a company on the edge. And then the Amiga years. And then the final years. Right. So, Company on the Edge, Amiga years, and final years. These are Brian Bagnall, a series of 3 books about basically the rise and fall of Commodore. I mean, if I show you like this, you would see that this is a lot of text. Not very many pictures in those. That's how a book looks. A normal book. A book where you read rather than just watch pictures. So if you are into cartoons and don't really fancy any more text than what is in a normal cartoon, this isn't for you. So this is one of the more illustrated pages in the entire book. There is a picture on it. Yeah, I mean, if you are interested in the rise and fall of Commodore, and perhaps you would also like a poster of Fat Agnes, then these are the books for you. That's if you are fancying the Commodore 64 and the Amiga, then you are for sure interested in how Commodore managed to have brilliant engineers that produce the brilliant machines that we've learned to love, and the super sucky management that managed to fail despite huge commercial successes with their machines. So the absolutely incomprehensible combination of brilliant machine with great commercial success and still failing the company. It should all be in here. And well, if you start reading this, make a little break every Friday because you want to see the next episode of FairLight TV, but this will take you some time to actually read through. Yeah, thanks, Brian. These are all good things. I'm sure I bought them via some sort of Kickstarter because otherwise I wouldn't have received, you know, the little things to know where I am in the book and all of that. So yeah, let's move on to the next book. Okay, next one is Pixel Art. Claes Benjaminsson, also known as Prowler, produced a number of those. I just have this one, and the secondhand value of it is totally trashed because I spilled coffee on it. So this is my coffee, the stained copy. But again, with the greetings from Prowler inside, because I bought it at Datastorm when he was selling them. Again, I don't know if you can buy this firsthand or you need to find a secondhand copy, but so what this book is, it's going through a number of the visual artists on a number of the relevant platforms. So this one is volume 2, where he focused on artists on C64, Spectrum, Atari, Amstrad, Plus 4, and MSX. So this is strictly not Commodore. It's only a subset of this is actually Commodore. But these are predominantly the 8-bit machines. I think the volume 1 is more 16-bit machines, and I know he's made subsequent ones. And so if you just Google pixel art and Prowler, you will probably find the more sort of recent copies. Because I think there is a volume 3 and a volume 4 of this as well, and the content of those I'm not really aware of because I was most interested in the Commodore 64 one. What can I show you? This would be Joe, I guess, from Roth Design. He was actually in FairLight for a period of time. Yes, that was Joe. What was this? Clone, again, Clone from doing Commodore 64 stuff. Don't know him. Also Roth Design, so the style is not too unlike Joe, to be honest. There is also a bit of so Jailbird here, and there is also a bit of Acid T, so a little bit of Petsky graphics in it. So, I mean, you can draw bitmap and you can use all sorts of picture formats on the C64. But the most lightweight on the machine, which you can have lots of in the machine without kind of filling the memory, would be Petsky art. So that was example of that. Yeah, who is this? Valsari, Polish guy. So what you see here is, I mean, first here is the handle of the guy that did this, or the person, I should say, and then there is the country of origin, and then there is the groups that person is a member of or has been a member of. And then there is the platform. So that would be Commodore 64 or Spectrum or MSX or whatever, one of the options that you had available. And then there is also the little flag that tells you the native country of the person in question. Yeah, again, there is surprisingly much text for being a predominantly graphics-oriented book. And now I'm not really lucky because I wanted to show you some of the pictures from. Oh yeah, that would be something that you would have seen in FairLight demos, because this is PAL, Paul in Norway, Paul Syversen, actually. Mermaid, okay, Vanya, super talented, very, very special style. Yeah, I really like Vanya's graphics. It's super cool. And here you can actually also see sort of stages in the, well, how Vanya is producing it. You can see it like a wire art here, and then filling the basic colors, and then kind of completing it. So nice. You can also learn a few of the tricks of the industry here. Yeah, my ambition was actually to kind of also find the time to show you the Sarge pictures here, but seemingly I didn't find that this quick. So, super nice book. You can read it and you can just browse through it. You can have one focusing on the platforms you are predominantly interested in, and you can buy the full set to actually have the full set. Prowler is doing a great job compiling these, spreading the art of the platforms to a bigger audience, because I mean, this is something you can buy and give to somebody who's not interested in computers, to share sort of the inside of computer graphics, and that is a very, very dedicated art form in its own. Okay, that was Prowler's book Pixel Art, and that was the volume 2. Let's move on to the next book. Next one is The Story of the Commodore 64 in Pixels. Oh. And you would have the transparency issue, and you would also have the issue with the edge of the camera. Sorry about that. I'm trying to keep it inside what the camera is actually capturing. Yeah, this one is really interesting. It's visual, and it's also a lot of text if you want to have that. To be honest, all the others have had like an angle, a very dedicated purpose, and then they went with that. To be honest, this one is a bit all over the place. You would have a number of initial pieces of text by someone, and then you would have a presentation of game programmers and or other people in the industry. So it's really not really consistent of the purpose of the book. It's just a visual thing covering people and a number of angles related to the C64. My absolute favorite part of this is, let's see if I can have page 60 here. Marty Carroll's text over tape loaders. I'm particularly interested in tape loaders, because one of the things I know how to do is defeat tape loaders. And so this text was the one that talked mostly to me. And it's predominantly describing freeload and novaload and that. So, yeah. That was that. I mean, tape loaders, that's one thing. And then you would have a description of a game. A little bit like the visual compendium here. It's sort of overlapping, because it's taking a number of games and writing here what the game is and all of that, and the producer and publisher, and then a little text on the actual game, what it is. And yeah, that green transparency, it's really killing this. Sorry. So those were the games. Cosmos Design. Cosmox is the game, and it was done by Cosmos Design. Hannes Sommer, right? Yeah, one of the really good C64 demo coders as well, the guys from Cosmos Design. And they completed their 30-year project. The game that they were very close to finishing, but they never really did it, and then they did it like only less than a year ago. Yeah, Stephen Day pictures, and then we have memoirs, a number of people and sort of what they did. This was Simon Butler. He did the art of Neverending Story. Chuck Somerville, coding a number of the games from, he coded a number of the Epix games, the ones you call games. There's the summer games and winter games and those, I guess. Matt Gray, coder of legendary Ghostbuster. Geoff Brown, Ben Daglish, who's no longer with us, really sadly. Fantastic musicians. Oh, Tim Follin. I know that this is a lot of green up here. Tim Follin is the Alchemist's favorite musician, which means that I've also taken particular interest in the music of Tim Follin. And I must say that he's a rather special musician and really non-mainstream. And I also seriously like his stuff. So, Tim, great stuff. And then Doc. Well, being a Fairlighter, of course, if there is an opportunity of showing something related to Druid 2, I take the opportunity of showing that. Doc did the legendary loading picture of Druid 2, where we have the music in our legendary intro. Yeah, so again, this is pointing at all different directions. It's predominantly a visual snapshot of a number of the game, pretty much like the visual compendium, but there is more meaty text around other aspects like loaders and a few other aspects. So it's not really that thick, but if you want to read through it, it takes a lot of more time than reading a few of the others, because this is actually more text heavy. Even if it's very graphical, it's also rather text heavy. So it combines that in a very nice way. And for being something that points in all different directions, I really like this book. It's very nice to have on your coffee table, but it's also really nice to read, and it's also nice to just browse through it when you feel nostalgic and want to see some very nice C64 graphics, or learn more about people involved in making a lot of the C64 games happen. All right, that was everything for now. But wait, we are approaching Christmas when I'm recording this. Possibly you would see this after Christmas. Anyways, I will do an unboxing, so stay tuned for unboxing of the last book. Okay, wrapping up with the last piece. This is the piece where I'm going to unbox the last book, or I was planning to unbox. This is really embarrassing because I did this segment and I just forgot to start recording. So everybody missed that. The book is already unboxed, I'm afraid. And that is absolutely crap. So here is the box. It's opened, and we missed that. This is the black bubble wrap the book was in. Very carefully wrapped up. So the book is in absolutely perfect condition. And this is the book, The Data Storm. It has absolutely nothing to do with the copy party in Gothenburg, Sweden, also known as Data Storm. To be honest, my first comment would be that both the font and the name has sort of right-wing connotation to it. So I'm not really sure if that is the first thing. If that is the first thing I thought of when I read the book, then that's not a good thing. But I have now kind of browsed a little bit in the book, even if this was supposed to be an unboxing that failed. So this is a book by a guy called Marco Bredin. It was designed by Stefan Schmidt, proofread by Mike Mee, and copy edited. I don't know what that role is, but I'm sure it's sort of relevant for the book. Antti Mutta, and Antti, I don't think you should stay in Sweden too long, because if you say your family name here, it's rather rude. So you would need to marry and change names before if you plan moving to Sweden. There is another aspect of this book which is possibly even amusing. It's the fact that it's in green. It's green text on black, which doesn't really work for holding up against the green screen. Everything becomes transparent. So when you see the nice frames from a number of FairLight C64 demos, that's where it's supposed to be text in the book. Yeah, I really can't do anything about that. That would be, well, possibly turning off the green screen, but we do have the green screen on, so we need to live without that. So, first page. Super nice, super nice. Again, transparent green here again. Trying to go through what this book is about is when cracking became popular. So this is sort of targeted the sort of darker aspects, the piracy aspects of the computer scenes. David Almer, whom you would know as Hedning of Genesis Project, wrote the foreword here. And there is Dark Modem Business, which is talking about BBSs, the rise of computer class. French students begin their 3.5-inch journey to build a CD club. Black is the disc world. Flea markets. That's talking about flea markets. Market of the underground. Competition between cracker circles and navigating the black video games market in the Far East. Console and copy machine. Hong Kong pirates of Sega and Nintendo. Calling cards. Anybody being sort of involved in the scene would have heard of calling cards. I mean, conveying stuff cracked in Europe over to the BBSs in the US. There was telecom fraud involved in that. So, and if you want to read more about that, that is likely in here. Again, I just opened the book and did the unboxing of it, so I haven't read much, but so these are only the few kind of initial assumptions based on reading the index here. The Last Man Cracking, Balance of Doom, Did Piracy Kill ST Games, a retrospective analysis of the computer games market and the harvest of Crackers Elite. Yes, Chaos Computer Clubs, disk menus. I guess, as I understand it, the guy Marco is he's predominantly on the Atari ST scene. So I think you can say that this takes well, the starting point of this is cracking on the Atari ST, but there are interviews of people from all platforms or multiple platforms, and a number of the things or aspects that is covered in the book would be sort of equally applicable to all the platforms. So if you read how they distributed Atari ST games, it's very likely that the same method would be used for distributing Amiga games, for instance, because it happened during the same point in time. And I have to show you this one. Yes, that is actually me on a beach in Thailand, and a monkey on my arm looking at my mobile phone. So Genesis Project didn't hijack this entire project. They just hijacked the introductory part of it. I haven't read it enough to have some sort of valid opinion about it, but it looks like an interesting book. it's an interesting topic that hasn't really been covered like this before. So I would say it's sort of unique. All you Amiga guys can have a look on a print screen of Xcopy. You like that, don't you? Yeah, what else? AMSI art. Also super nice and transparent, where you can't see the green. There is actually a page here, but you can't see it. You can just see the background. You can see the Louis 500's very nice, or Louis 64's very nice panda. Yeah, what else? There was an article on Rob Northern. Let's see if I can find that. That was in sort of the latter part of the book. I saw that, and well, if you saw the interview I did with Galahad, you would have picked up the reference to Rob Northern a number of times. Let's see if Rob was here. No. Some very secretive guy using a face mask, probably not for COVID protection, but more for covering his real identity, I would presume. Yes, Rob was here. I think we're getting closer to the picture of Rob here. So Rob Northern was the guy that did kind of the most famous protection on the Amiga. Oh yeah, here he is. So that's Rob Northern, and also the text being transparent to you. The Data Storm, a book you can buy today, and it takes you to the darker dungeons of the computer scene. Nice book. Thanks for providing this, Marco. It's super nice. And I would encourage you all to order it and have a personal copy, because this one you can buy today on the micro site with a Z or Z if you're living across the pond. That was everything I planned on showing you today. I'm sorry about the failed unboxing. I hope you still enjoyed my fake unboxing of it, because I actually did an unboxing. It was in a box when I started recording. I'm not really sure when we are going to publish this. I would assume it's between Christmas and New Year, so this is likely going to be the last episode of the year. Thank you for watching all the previous episode. If you haven't done already, then take a look at the backlog and see if you watched all of them, at least all of the ones you find interesting. As always, feel free to comment down below, because if you do, we will pick that up and respond to you. And if you have additional suggestions of what we should pick up in the future, one of the things that we will for sure do during 2022 would be more interviews, because that's already kind of seen as one of the things you are more interested in. So I will pick up more interviews. I have a number of people lined up. It's just, the final confirmation and finding the relevant point in time when we do the interview. So do expect more interviews throughout 2022, and enjoy, and stay curious and stay interested in what happens on the platforms that we cover. The C64, Amiga. We will not talk so much about PC, because that is still a sensitive area, so we will be focusing on the Commodore machines. So stay tuned, Happy New Year, and enjoy your Commodore. Bye bye.